Hello, welcome to my video. And it feels a bit out of character for me to make such a video, but here we are. My name is Angelina, I'm from Holland and I am a eurythmist, and I would like to talk about what it means to be a eurythmist and about this odd little profession of mine. But it is really a wonderful profession and it's quite unknown, so I would like to share a bit about it. Very shortly, Eurythmy is an art of movement. It developed about 100 years ago, and the first two kind of big courses on it, we have books of them now, and they're called Eurythmy as Visible Speech and Eurythmy as Visible Singing. So eurythmy has something to do with sound as well, sounding movement maybe, and I will talk about that later more, but just to have like this small introduction. It won't be like a course on eurythmy, or I won't go through the different elements very like structurally or something, or I don't want to like explain like that's why eurythmy is important. Maybe I will talk about that later on, but it is more for me to kind of see if I can share some of the depth and intricacies and beauty of it, of the work that goes into it, and maybe like with music, like when I was younger, maybe I was not a very musically talented girl, I think. I thought at least. And of course I knew like to play piano you have to know, like be able to do like all the notes and so on, and yeah, it has to do something with feeling as well, but the work and the delicacies and how you work with the music and with the element of tone was something I had no idea about, and I went in that direction. I want to try to see if I can talk about eurythmy. I was inspired, or I thought about a video I've seen a long time ago by a conductor, or at least I think he's a conductor, Benjamin Zander, and he talks to a big group of people who do not have necessarily a connection to classical music, and he starts with playing a piece in a way like I think a 6-year-old, or I don't know. I will post the link somewhere in the description or somewhere, I will find out, but you will be able to find it probably, and so you can see for yourself how he plays that. But he plays it as a young child, developing through the years, and he talks about where he plays like the first piece, he's like the child is trying to find the tones, and then the next year it's a bit more, and then even more like this, and then it goes, and suddenly at a certain point he is able to play it very, very differently. Suddenly it sounds like music, and he talks about what happens is that in the beginning on every note there's an emphasis, and then on every second note, and then on every fourth note, and then every eighth, and then suddenly it's just one impulse or emphasis every sentence. And I mean there are of course more differentiation as well, but it that development of how the notes are related to each other. And with the last one, he talks about how he plays and then suddenly he finds himself moved over, and things start to move here as well. He falls almost over, not over, but, and he's like, oh, the music has moved me, or something like that. And for me, as a eurythmist who works with movement, who works with tone, is that a very, very interesting thing to question what is happening there. So when he talks about being moved by the music, he doesn't mean that he's like playing and then he's like, oh, I want to move like this. Somehow there is this kind of music and that comes and moves him and moves his fingers as well, and actually produces the music in a way, or makes the tone sound in a different way than when he would, like, how he would play it as a 6-year-old. So that's very interesting that in a way this movement he talks about as being made, that he's moving because of the music, is something which, it's not the audible music which is moving him. There is this music and it's moving him. There is something connecting these tones, and that's the movement he's talking about. And it's very interesting that in that sense music is not the audible. I'm saying that because that fits very, very beautifully to something Rudolf Steiner, the developer of Eurythmy, talks about. He talked about how music is not the tones, but that what's in between, and that like we need the tones to be able to create something in between, and that actually what is in between is the music. And that's what the thing you don't hear, and I think that fits very beautifully to what this movement he's talking about. It's not, he's not moved by the sound of the music, he's moved by something musically, and that movement that he's talking about, he for him it's a part of playing the music, and for us as Eurythmy we take that which is in very little, in a way, there in this movement he makes. We take that and develop that into a whole differentiated form and gestures and movement, and I think that's a start of what Eurythmy is, and it's very interesting that, because moved by the music, but you are in front of what is sounding, so that's a very, very exciting place, or it's very difficult as well to be, because you have to be in front of what is audible, and you're not in front of what is audible to be like, oh, so you're in time at the tones, but you are trying to develop this movement that produces, or that creates the possibility of this tone in this relation to the other tone, and so you're moved by an inaudible music, and well, that sounds as if that inaudible movement, or this inaudible music, is like something like it's coming, it's out of nowhere or something, but it's actually something which is, I think, developed over these years of practice, and it asked a lot of research. How you are as a musician creating this movement. You're saying like this tone gets a lot of movement or not, or you're making decisions there, and that's the same for Eurythmy, and it's very delicate and differentiated, finding and practicing that it's exactly that movement that this needs, and it's also making decisions. There are different interpretations of pieces and so on, and in that direction I think the movement of Eurythmy goes as well. And it's also like when you start doing Eurythmy, you're also first doing the single tones, and then in the end you can connect them more and more, and it's going to live in between when everything, when that, yeah, when you practice enough. And we have still a lot to learn as Eurythmist, but I think that's kind of the direction I wanted to kind of talk about Eurythmy, because so it's this movement. It's not trying to move the different tones and kind of like signs for different, this is this tone, this tone. There are movement for different tones, but it is about the kind of movement that lies in them and lies between them most of all. And for me that's a very, very important thing, that to start with, like this movement is not, we're not going to do like the different tones. I mean, when you study Eurythmy you will explore the different tones, but for us I wanted to get a feeling of that the movement of the music, that's what it's about, and taking that and developing that into your whole body, and in that sense as a whole human being singing. And I think that's something, yeah, that's something very special to experience and beautiful to practice. And yeah, and about the quality and the way we move I will talk a bit more in my next video. I hope you could hear my enthusiasm for Eurythmy, and I am not great at finishing all my sentences perfectly and so on, and but I won't even try, because otherwise I won't post this at all. So I hope that even through this, what I'm talking like this, through the different words and sentences there is a movement, like the moving in the music, something you can follow. And yeah, I hope to see you next time. Tschüss.